Unless you want to answer that.
How about one thing that I think could be a really actionable takeaway for managers and leaders at a company?
Oh, I like that.
So my book is about entrepreneurship, but what people don't understand about entrepreneurship and leadership is that it's directly applicable to working at a company. And I spend a lot of time with high performing employees, almost my entire network. There's just not that many entrepreneurs in the world. So a lot of my friends in town, a lot of my network is very high performing employees. They do their job very well. I talk to them about what frustrates them at work or why they leave jobs. And there's themes. There's themes. And this is what not to do if you're trying to lead and manage a team. Number one, if you make decisions slowly, you are asking your top performers to leave. And number two is if you tolerate and surround those A players with B players and C players and people who are low performing, your A players are going to be gone. So an A player, if they come to you and say, hey, look, there's a better way for me to do my job. I have this idea, that idea, and the other idea. We can all agree that this is the better way to do the job. And you as a leader, if you talk a big game and do nothing, that is the recipe to have an extremely frustrated team and a team that will eventually walk away. And if it's a big office politics game where there's one really high performer and there's three other low performers on the team and they've come to you as a manager and says, hey, look, this person's not doing their job. Hey, look, they messed up again. Hey, look, this is making me work Saturday nights because I'm picking up the slack for this other person. And you refuse to let that person go because either it's too big of a company or there's a bureaucracy. I know in America, we have a very open economy for letting people go who are not doing their jobs well. Other places in the world, the UK included, is very hard to let somebody go. So at major corporations, there can be people who are low performers and make it 40 years. There's nothing worse for high performers. So as a leader, that's just something to be aware of. If you tolerate those C players, your entire organization will become a C player organization, and you're going to watch your A players walk away.
You said something there that A players come to you and say, look, there's a better way to do my job. I think my worry would be if I say, oh, cool, okay, give it a go, and it completely goes wrong. Do you have to have some kind of judgment around that, or do you just generally say, go on, give it a go?
Well, they're generally asking for a way that you can make their life easier. So generally it's your job, but many times I'll say, no, look, I disagree. We don't need to be focused on adding X, Y, and Z complexity to our business. We need to do this, that, and the other better, and there's lower hanging fruit. I have a lot of big idea people that work for me, and I'm constantly reining them in and saying, hold on, let's focus. Hold on, let's focus. There's a difference between that and them saying, damn it, I'm putting this stuff in Microsoft Excel for 4 hours a day. Get me an executive assistant in the Philippines for $4 an hour to do this. I'm one of the highest paid people at the company, and I'm doing this work over and over and over again, and it's making my life suck. And the boss says, oh yeah, I hear you. We'll think about getting you somebody else to help you with this. And then nothing happens. But I also think from the employee side, there are things that you can do as well, which is before you take a job is just understand, is it a big conglomerate that there is no way they're going to change anything about the way they do business? A lot of employees walk into these situations and they work for one of the largest companies in America. They go to New York City and work for JP Morgan. And they get in on the floor in the 57th floor on 51st Street in New York City, and they say, hey, there's a better way to do this, guys. And the boss says, honey, we've been making over $1 billion a quarter for 50 years. I don't need your ideas around here. So if you're an idea person who wants to move up quickly through an organization, don't go to the big bureaucracy. Don't go to the place where you can hide without doing anything and you can last 40 years and the person with the most tenure who shows up early to meetings and does the best at office politics gets the most increase in salary. Work for a company where the owner is aggressive. It's a small team. The company's growing and you can do really, really well there. But another big part of it is just to look down the hall at somebody who's winning the game you're about to play. A massive mistake people make is they pick the wrong game, the wrong career altogether. Like a ton of people want to be doctors and lawyers. This is a very confrontational or, not widely accepted view that I have, is that I don't know very many 45-year-old doctors and lawyers who aren't obese, overworked, divorced, depressed, and addicted to substances, but very rich. So look down the hall. Look where you're headed. Look, if I play this game and I'm about to win this game and I'm very good at it, what happens to me? Very few people who pick a career actually spend the time thinking about, what does it look like if I win?